Hello everyone, welcome to our class. Today we are going to talk about chapter 1, and especially chapter 1.1, right? Okay, so let me make this screen bigger. Okay, so chapter 1 is about sampling and data, right? We're going to talk about sampling and data especially, right? Now 1.1, we are going to talk about some of those basic definitions of statistic and probability and some of those key concepts in statistics. So today is relatively easy. We're going to talk about some basic terms and definitions, right? So let's talk about statistic first, right? Statistic. So what is it? If somebody asks me, hey, what is statistic? Well, let's say your friend is asking you that, in knowing that you're taking statistics this semester, if they ask, hey, what's statistic anyway? And here is a short answer for that question. So statistic is actually a science. Science of what? Science of collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting data. So why do we want to collect, organize, analyze, and interpret the data? Because we want to, at the end, we want to make decision, right? We want to make decision. That's why we are doing this statistic. Now, there are two main branches of statistic. One is called descriptive statistic. Another one is called inferential statistic. Now, of course, over the course, we are going to talk about these two in details, but let's just quickly go over about some of those terms in descriptive statistic. Now, descriptive statistic is basically organize and summarize data, right? Organize and summarize the data. So in descriptive statistic, you don't necessarily interpret the data. You don't necessarily make decision based on your data. As the name suggests, you just describe what's out there. So you organize the data and summarize the data and you present the data. Just like these two examples, there are full-time and part-time students, different numbers, and two different colleges. And for the case like this pie chart, there are compositions of different grade, freshman, sophomore, and junior, senior. So they don't necessarily interpreting the data, right? They just organize and summarize and present the data. Sometimes in this graph, in bar-shaped graph, or sometimes that in this type of graph, which is called pie chart, right? So just to remember, descriptive statistic, you just organize and summarize and present the data. You don't make decision. That's descriptive statistic. Inferential statistic, however, based on your organizing and summarizing and interpreting the data, you draw conclusion, right? You draw conclusion. That's inferential statistic. Sometimes you make decision. Sometimes you make educated guess. You make some type of conclusion. That's inferential statistic, right? So if you go back to descriptive statistic, you just describe what's out there. And inferential statistic, you make decision based on your analysis. That's inferential statistic. So in this course, we are going to talk about descriptive statistic as well as inferential statistic as well, right? Okay. Now, population. Population doesn't have to be human, right? It could be any type of subject that we are studying, right? We have our statistical project, any type of subject can be a population. So it could be a person, it could be things, or it could be object under study. But one thing about population, it should include every single person or the thing or the object of the study. For example, let's say you are studying about college student in US. Your population should be every single college student in US. Let's say you are studying apple in a particular farm. Every single apple in that farm is going to be the population, right? So population could be person, could be thing, but one thing that we must have is that population should include every single one of them under the study, right? The contrasting concept is what's called sample. Sample is going to be a part of the population. So let's say if the whole thing is going to be population, right? If the whole thing is going to be population, then sample is going to be here within the population, and it should contain some of those objects, or could be person, but that's going to be the sample. And of course, you can take many different sample as you need it, right? So population include everything. Sample is just a part of population. Now, next one is called parameter. Now, well, let's read the first sentence. What is parameter? Parameter is a number. So at the end, parameter is going to be a number. The number that is a property of population. That means any type of number that you extract from population, it's going to be parameter value. Now, let's say this is population. Now, let's say you want to know let's say this is a college student, right? You are studying something about college student in US. Now, let's say you get average age of college student in US. That average age at the end, it's going to be a number. Let's say average age is 25. Let's just say. Now, that average age, which is 25, is a parameter value. Why? Because we get this number from the population. Now, what else can we get from the population? Not just the average. Well, later on, we are going to talk about variance and standard deviation and many different types of values that we can extract from the population, and all these values are going to be a parameter value, right? So what's parameter? Any type of number, because it says parameter is a number, that we get from the population, right? That's parameter. Now, the contrasting idea is statistic. So what is statistic? Statistic is, well, look at this. Statistic is also a number, but that represent a property of sample, right? So any type of number that we extract from statistic, from the sample, is going to be statistic. So let me make this, diagram. If you have population, is parameter. And if you have sample, then it's going to be statistic. So you make that S connection and P connection. Population, parameter, sample, statistic. Okay. Now, another key terms that we need to know is what's called variable, right? Variable in usual mathematics is usually a letter X or Y that describes some unknown value, right? That's a variable. Now, in statistics, that's pretty similar, right? So what is variable? They usually use the uppercase letter, like uppercase X or uppercase Y, which is a characteristic of interest for each person or things in population. For example, let's say you are interested in average age of college student in US. What's going to be the variable? Age is going to be your variable, right? Age is going to be the variable. Now, the actual number of the age, for example, someone is 25 years old, that 25, someone is 22, someone is 27, someone is like 18, let's say. All this number is not variable, this is data. This is the data. But the age itself, you can say age, or if you want to make it short, you can just say A. That's going to be what? What do we call this versus the actual number? Actual number is going to be the data. That characteristic of the interest, which is age in this case, is going to be the variable, right? Okay. So variable may be numerical or categorical. Numerical variable means it's going to be a number type of variable. What could be a number type of variable? Well, like age. What else could be a number type of variable? Oh, weight of something, or time, or money, or the length. You know, all those things are numerical type of variable. What else can be categorical then? What's categorical? Categorical variable place the person or things in categories. In short, categorical is non-number form. Non-number form of variable is categorical variable. Does everyone know your blood type, for example? You know, someone has like blood type A, blood type B, blood type O, or blood type AB. Now, all this, for example, is going to be categorical variable, blood type. Or let's say your nationality. You know, we all have, you might have different nationality, and that nationality is not a number, so that's why it's going to be categorical variable. How about, let's say, your major? You know, possibly we all have different major, right? Someone has same, but you know, some of us have different major. Your major is not a number, right? So major is going to be categorical variable. What about your age? Well, your age is a number. So your age is going to be numerical type of variable. Okay? All right. So let's say your exam score at the end of the exam, at the end of the term. Do you think that's going to be a number, or is it going to be A, B, C, D? Well, if they give you the final grade in A, B, C, D letter grade, then it's going to be categorical. But once you take one exam and you get your exam score out of, let's say, 50, then that's going to be a number form. Then it's going to be numerical type of variable. Now, a person's political party affiliation, Republican or Democratic, or possibly independent, all those things is going to be categorical, of course, right? Republican, Democrat, that's not number, right? It's a non-number type of variable. So person's political affiliation is going to be categorical type of variable. Okay. Data. I mean, we talked about data, but what is it? Data are the actual value of the variable. Let's say, we talked about the age. If age is a variable, then the actual age, like 25, 27, 21, 18, all these actual number, actual value, these are data, right? Datum is a single value, right? Data is actually, in fact, a plural, right? Multiple different values, right? So let's say, a point earned in end of the term, actual score out of 100, all this number is going to be the data. Right? Person's political party affiliation, either Democratic or Republican or Democratic or Independent, all these actual, the name of the affiliation is going to be the data. Right? Of course, this is a numerical type of data. This is categorical type of data, right? So numerical and categorical is applying not only for the variable, but also for the data as well, right? Okay, so we are going to stop here, and that's it for this chapter.